Welcome to episode 23 of the Re-NEET Hyper-Strike Podcast. Today is the ultimate test. We are tackling the top 50 hardest assertion-reason questions from the updated syllabus. NTA uses these exact traps to steal your time and force negative marks. Put your phone down, close your eyes, and let's go. Question 1. The living world. Assertion A. Species is the lowest taxonomic category. Reason R. As we go higher from species to kingdom, the number of common characters decreases. 3, 2, 1. Species is the lowest category, which is true. The common characters decrease as you go up, which is also true. But the decrease in characters isn't the reason why species is the lowest, so the option is B. Question 2. Biological classification. Assertion: viroids are smaller than viruses. Reason: viroids lack a protein coat and possess low molecular weight RNA. 3, 2, 1. Viroids are indeed smaller than viruses. Why? Because they completely lack a protein coat and only have a small, low molecular weight RNA molecule. Both are true, and the reason explains the size difference perfectly. Option is A. Question 3. Biological classification. Assertion: diatomaceous earth is used in polishing and filtration. Reason: the cell walls of diatoms are easily destructible. 3, 2, 1. Diatomaceous earth is used in polishing, which is true, but the reason states their walls are easily destructible. That is completely false. Their walls are embedded with silica, making them indestructible. Option is C. Question 4. Plant kingdom. Assertion A. Fucus exhibits a diplontic life cycle. Reason R. In Fucus, the diploid sporophyte is the dominant, photosynthetic, and independent phase. 3, 2, 1. Fucus is the ultimate algae exception with a diplontic life cycle. Why is it diplontic? Because the diploid sporophyte is the dominant, independent, and photosynthetic phase as life. Option is A. Question 5. Plant kingdom. Assertion A. Pteridophytes are called vascular cryptogams. Reason: they possess vascular tissues, xylem and phloem, and produce flowers. 3, 2, 1. Pteridophytes are indeed called vascular cryptogams because they are non-flowering vascular plants, but the reason says they produce flowers. That is false. Cryptogams do not produce flowers or seeds. Option is C. Question 6. Animal kingdom. Assertion A. Adult echinoderms show radial symmetry, while their larvae show bilateral symmetry. Reason R. Coexistence of different symmetries is a key feature of all triple-blastic animals. 3, 2, 1. Echinoderms have radial adults and bilateral larvae, which is factually true, but having both symmetries is definitely not a feature of all triple-blastic animals. The reason is false, making the option C. Question 7. Animal kingdom. Assertion A. Aschelminthes are pseudocoelomate animals. Reason R. In Aschelminthes, the body cavity is not lined by mesoderm. Instead, the mesoderm is present as scattered pouches. 3, 2, 1. Aschelminthes are indeed pseudocoelomates. Why? Because their body cavity is not fully lined by mesoderm. Instead, the mesoderm is scattered in pouches between ectoderm and endoderm. Option is A. Question 8. Animal kingdom. Assertion A. Sponges exhibit a water vascular system. Reason R. The water system in sponges helps in food gathering, respiratory exchange, and removal of waste. 3, 2, 1. Watch the words. Sponges have a water canal system, not vascular. The reason correctly describes what their system does, but the assertion is false. Option is D. Question 9. Morphology of flowering plants. Assertion A. Mustard and argemone have parietal placentation. Reason R. In parietal placentation, the ovules develop on the inner wall of the ovary, or peripheral part. 3, 2, 1. Remember our map trick. Mustard and argemone have parietal placentation. Why? Because the ovules develop on the inner peripheral wall. Both are true, and the reason is the correct explanation. Option is A. Question 10. Morphology of flowering plants. Assertion A, Solanaceae seeds are endospermous. Reason R, Solanaceae is a monocotyledonous family. 3, 2, 1. Solanaceae seeds are indeed endospermous, which is a massive exception for dicots. But the reason says Solanaceae is a monocot. That is false. They are dicots. Option is C. Question 11. Anatomy of flowering plants. Assertion A, monocotyledonous stems possess water-containing cavities within vascular bundles. Reason R, monocot stems feature scattered, closed vascular bundles. 3, 2, 1. Remember SCW, scattered, closed, water cavities. Both statements are true for monocot stems, but having scattered bundles is not the reason why they have water cavities. Option is B. Question 12. Anatomy of flowering plants. Assertion: dicot roots have a large, well-developed pith. Reason: monocot roots have more than 6 xylem bundles. 3, 2, 1. Dicot roots actually have a small, inconspicuous pith, making the assertion false. Monocot roots are polyarch, meaning they have more than 6 xylem bundles, which is true. Option is D. Question 13. Anatomy of flowering plants. Assertion A, collenchyma is a living mechanical tissue. Reason R, collenchyma styles show localized pectin thickenings at the corners. 3, 2, 1. Collenchyma is indeed living and mechanical. Its cells also have pectin thickenings at their corners, but having pectin thickenings is not the reason why it is living. Option is B. Question 14. Structural org in animals. Assertion A, male frogs can be distinguished by the presence of a copulatory pad. Reason R, the copulatory pad is present on the first digit of the hind limbs. 3, 2, 1. Watch the limbs. Male frogs have copulatory pads, which is true, but the pad is on the forelimbs, not the hind limbs. The reason is false. Option is C. Question 15. Structural org in animals. Assertion A, frogs do not use their lungs for respiration during hibernation. Reason R, during hibernation, gaseous exchange takes place exclusively through the skin. 3, 2, 1. Frogs do not use lungs during their winter sleep, which is true. Why? Because they rely completely on cutaneous respiration through their skin. Both are true, and it explains the assertion. Option is A. Question 16. Cell, the unit of life. Assertion: mitochondria and chloroplasts are semi-autonomous organelles. Reason: they possess their own circular double-stranded DNA and 70S ribosomes. 3, 2, 1. Semi-autonomous means they can synthesize some of their own proteins. Why? Because they have their own DNA and 70S ribosomes. Both are true, and the reason explains the autonomy. Option is A. Question 17. Cell, the unit of life. Assertion: the end of the T wave in an ECG marks the end of ventricular systole. Reason: depolarization of ventricles initiates ventricular contraction. 3, 2, 1. The end of the T wave marks the end of systole, which is true. Depolarization of ventricles initiates contraction, which is also true. But one is not the explanation for the other. Option is B. Question 18. Cell, the unit of life. Assertion A, ribosomes are not membrane-bound organelles. Reason R, ribosomes are found only in eukaryotic cells. 3, 2, 1. Ribosomes are indeed non-membrane bound, which is true, but they are found in both prokaryotes and eukaryotes, making the reason false. Option is C. Question 19. Biomolecules. Assertion A, lipids are not strict macromolecules. Reason R, the molecular weight of lipids does not exceed 800 Daltons. 3, 2, 1. Lipids are not strict macromolecules, which is true. Why? Because their molecular weight is less than 800 Daltons. They only end up in the acid-insoluble fraction because they form vesicles. Option is A. Question 20. Biomolecules. Assertion A, the tertiary structure of proteins is absolutely necessary for many biological activities of proteins. Reason R, the tertiary structure folds the protein into a 3D shape, creating active sites for enzymes. 3, 2, 1. The 3D tertiary structure is indeed vital for proteins to act as enzymes. Why? Because this folding creates the active sites that bind substrates. Both are true, and the reason explains the assertion. Option is A. Question 20. Biomolecules. Assertion A. The tertiary structure of proteins is absolutely necessary for many biological activities of proteins. Reason R. The tertiary structure folds the protein into a 3D shape, creating active sites for enzymes. 3, 2, 1. The 3D tertiary structure is indeed vital for proteins to act as enzymes. Why? Because this folding creates the active sites that bind substrates. Both are true, and the reason explains the assertion. Option is A. Question 22. Cell cycle and division. Assertion A. During S phase, the DNA content of the cell doubles. Reason R. The chromosome number also doubles during S phase. 3, 2, 1. DNA content doubles from 2C to 4C, which is true, but the chromosome number does not double. It stays exactly 2N. The reason is false. Option is C. Question 23. Cell cycle and division. Assertion A. Recombination nodules appear during the Pachytene stage of prophase 1. Reason R. Crossing over is an enzyme-mediated process. 3, 2, 1. Recombination nodules appear in Pachytene, which is true. Crossing over is enzyme-mediated by recombinase, which is also true. But being enzyme-mediated doesn't explain the appearance of the nodules. Option is B. Question 24. Cell cycle and division. Assertion A. In anaphase 1, homologous chromosomes separate while sister chromatids remain attached. Reason R. Centromeres do not split during anaphase 1. 3, 2, 1. Homologous chromosomes separate in anaphase 1, leaving sister chromatids attached. Why? Because the centromere does not split. Centromere splitting is delayed until anaphase 2. Option is A. Question 25. Photosynthesis in higher plants. Assertion A. Photorespiration is a highly wasteful process absent in C4 plants. Reason R. C4 plants have a mechanism that increases the CO2 concentration at the rubisco enzyme site. 3, 2, 1. C4 plants completely avoid the wasteful process of photorespiration. Why? Because they concentrate CO2 inside the bundle sheath cells, ensuring rubisco only binds to CO2, not oxygen. Option is A. Question 26. Photosynthesis in higher plants. Assertion A. Synthesis of one molecule of glucose in C4 plants requires 30 ATP. Reason R. The primary CO2 acceptor in C4 plants is PEP. 3, 2, 1. C4 plants require 30 ATP for one glucose, which is true. PEP is their primary acceptor, which is also true. But having PEP as an acceptor is not the reason why they use 30 ATP. Option is B. Question 27. Respiration in plants. Assertion A. Glycolysis is also known as the EMP pathway. Reason R. Glycolysis occurs in the mitochondrial matrix of all living cells. 3, 2, 1. Glycolysis is called the EMP pathway, which is true. But the reason says it occurs in the mitochondrial matrix. That is false. It occurs in the cytoplasm. Option is C. Question 28. Respiration in plants. Assertion A. Oxygen is vital for aerobic respiration, even though its role is limited to the terminal stage. Reason R. Oxygen acts as the final hydrogen acceptor and removes hydrogen from the system. 3, 2, 1. Oxygen is indeed vital, despite only acting at the end. Why? Because it acts as the final hydrogen acceptor, pulling hydrogen out of the system to form water and driving the ETS. Option is A. Question 29. Plant growth and development. Assertion A. ABA is known as the antagonist to gibberellins. Reason: ABA induces seed dormancy, while gibberellins promote seed germination. 3, 2, 1. ABA and GAs are direct antagonists. Why? Because ABA keeps the seed asleep by inducing dormancy, while GAs wake it up to germinate. Both are true, and the reason explains the antagonism. Option is A. Question 30. Plant growth and development. Assertion A. Auxin application helps to prepare weed-free lawns. Reason R. Synthetic auxin 2,4-D selectively kills mature monocotyledonous plants. 3, 2, 1. Auxins like 2,4-D are used to make weed-free lawns, which is true. But the reason says it kills mature monocots. That is false. It selectively kills broad-leaved dicot weeds, leaving the monocot grass unharmed. Option is C.
Question 31. Breathing and exchange of gases. Assertion A. Carbon monoxide poisoning is highly lethal. Reason R. Carbon monoxide binds to hemoglobin with an affinity 250 times higher than oxygen. 3, 2, 1. Carbon monoxide is extremely deadly. Why? Because it binds to hemoglobin with an affinity 250 times stronger than oxygen, forming carboxyhemoglobin and blocking oxygen transport. Option is A.
Question 32. Breathing and exchange of gases. Assertion A. A shift to the right in the oxygen dissociation curve occurs at the tissue level. Reason R. Tissues have high PCO2, high H+ concentration, and high temperature. 3, 2, 1. Remember our right equals release rule. The curve shifts right at the tissues. Why? Because working tissues have high CO2, high acidity, and high temperature, which decreases hemoglobin's affinity for oxygen. Option is A.
Question 33. Breathing and exchange of gases. Assertion A. Emphysema is a chronic respiratory disorder. Reason R. In emphysema, the alveolar walls are damaged, reducing the respiratory surface. 3, 2, 1. Emphysema is a chronic respiratory disorder, mostly caused by smoking. Why is it a disorder? Because the alveolar walls are physically damaged, drastically reducing the surface area for gas exchange. Option is A.
Question 34. Blood fluids and circulation. Assertion A. Blood group O negative is considered the universal donor. Reason R. RBCs of blood group O negative lack both A and B antigens, as well as the Rh antigen. 3, 2, 1. Blood group O negative can be given to anyone. Why? Because its red blood cells completely lack A and B surface. Question 35. Body fluids and circulation. Assertion A. The end of the T wave marks the end of ventricular systole. Reason R. The T wave represents the repolarization of the ventricles. 3, 2, 1. The end of the T wave marks the end of ventricular systole, which is true. The T wave represents ventricular repolarization, which is also true. But repolarization itself is not the reason for the timing definition. Option is B.
Question 36. Excretory products. Assertion A. The descending limb of the loop of Henle concentrates the filtrate. Reason R. The descending limb is permeable to water, but impermeable to electrolytes. 3, 2, 1. The descending limb concentrates the urine filtrate. Why? Because it allows water to escape into the medullary interstitium, but blocks electrolytes from entering. Option is A.
Question 37. Excretory products. Assertion A. ADH prevents diuresis. Reason R. ADH facilitates water reabsorption from the latter parts of the tubule. 3, 2, 1. ADH is the antidiuretic hormone. Why does it prevent diuresis, or water loss? Because it directly facilitates water reabsorption from the distal tubules and collecting ducts. Option is A. Question 38. Locomotion and movement. Assertion A. During muscle contraction, the A band remains the same length. Reason R. The thick myosin filaments shorten during the sliding filament process. 3, 2, 1. Remember, A is always the same length, which is true. But the reason says myosin filaments shorten. That is false. No filaments actually shorten. They just slide past each other. Option is
Question 39. Locomotion and movement. Assertion A. Myasthenia gravis is an autoimmune disorder. Reason R. It affects the neuromuscular junction, leading to fatigue, weakening, and paralysis of skeletal muscle. 3, 2, 1.
Myasthenia gravis is indeed an autoimmune disorder, and it does affect the neuromuscular junction, leading to paralysis. But the symptoms of paralysis do not explain why it is classified as autoimmune. Option is B. Question 40. Neural control and coordination. Assertion A. Chemical synapses are slower than electrical synapses. Reason R. Chemical synapses are extremely rare in the human neural system. 3, 2, 1. Chemical synapses are indeed slower due to neurotransmitter release, which is true, but the reason says they are rare. That is false. Chemical synapses are the most common in our body. Electrical synapses are rare. Option is C.
Question 41. Chemical coordination. Assertion A. Protein hormones generate second messengers like CAMP. Reason R. Protein hormones are lipid-soluble and can cross the cell membrane. 3, 2, 1. Protein hormones must use second messengers, which is true, but the reason says they are lipid-soluble. That is false. They are water-soluble and cannot cross the membrane, which is exactly why they need second messengers. Option is C.
Question 42. Chemical coordination. Assertion A. The posterior pituitary is under direct neural regulation of the hypothalamus. Reason R. The posterior pituitary stores and releases hormones actually synthesized by the hypothalamus. 3, 2, 1. The posterior pituitary is under direct neural regulation, and it does only store and release hypothalamic hormones. But storing hormones is not the reason why it is neurally regulated. Option is B.
Question 43. Sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Assertion A. The exine of pollen grains is highly resistant to organic materials. Reason R. Exine is composed of sporopollenin, one of the most resistant organic materials known. Option is A. Question 44. Sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Assertion. The tapetum is the innermost layer of the microsporangium. Reason. Tapetal cells possess dense cytoplasm and generally have more than one nucleus. 3, 2, 1. The tapetum is the innermost layer, which is true. Tapetal cells are multinucleated and have dense cytoplasm, which is also true. But these cell features do not explain why it is the innermost layer. Option is B. Question 45. Human reproduction. Assertion. HCG, HPL, and relaxin are produced in women only during pregnancy. Reason. These three hormones are secreted exclusively by the placenta. 3, 2, 1. These three hormones are exclusive to pregnancy, which is true, but the reason says they are all secreted by the placenta. That is false. Relaxin is secreted by the ovary, not the placenta. Option is C. Question 46. Principles of inheritance. Assertion. A. Phenylketonuria is an example of pleiotropy. Reason. R. A single gene mutation in phenylketonuria leads to mental retardation and hair reduction. 3, 2, 1. Phenylketonuria is a classic example of pleiotropy. Why? Because a single gene mutation results in multiple unrelated phenotypic expressions, like mental retardation and skin pigmentation changes. Option is A. Question 47. Molecular basis of inheritance. Assertion A. DNA replication is continuous on one strand and discontinuous on the other. Reason R. DNA-dependent DNA polymerase can catalyze polymerization only in one direction, that is 5' to 3'. 3, 2, 1. DNA replication is indeed semi-discontinuous.
Why? Because the replication fork opens and the polymerase can only synthesize in the 5' to 3' direction, forcing one strand to grow in short fragments. Option is A.
Question 48. Biotechnology. Applications. Assertion A. The Bt toxin does not kill the Bacillus thuringiensis bacteria. Reason R. The Bt toxin exists as an inactive protoxin in the bacteria. 3, 2, 1. The Bt toxin does not harm the bacteria producing it. Why? Because it exists as an inactive, harmless protoxin that requires an alkaline pH to dissolve and become active. Option is A.
Question 49. Ecology. Assertion. A. The pyramid of energy in a pond ecosystem is always upright in every single ecosystem. Why? Because energy transfer is unidirectional and 90% is lost at each trophic level. Option is A. Question 50. Ecology. Assertion. A. Sacred groves are an ex situ conservation strategy. Reason. R. Sacred groves are highly protected forest fragments. 3, 2, 1. Watch out! Sacred groves are natural, wild forest fragments, making them an in situ conservation strategy, not ex situ. The assertion is false, but the reason is true. Option is D. That is 50 of the absolute hardest assertion-reason questions in the entire syllabus, fully conquered. If you survived this masterclass, your conceptual core is bulletproof for Re-NEET. Drop your score out of 50 in the comments below. Hit subscribe, give us a like, and share this with your study group. Today on episode 24, we conquer the Match the Following masterclass. Keep listening, stay ruthless, and I'll see you in the next one.